Summary of Nail It Then Scale It by Nathan Furr. Imagine you have a great idea for something unique. You release it as fast as you can and get the consumers to assist you to rectify the good. You put money into it and develop your business advance fastly. Afterward, all of a sudden, the idea becomes unsuccessful. You could not attract as many consumers as you wanted to. Being unsuccessful in unique businesses, even at those developed on big ideas, are widespread. Entrepreneurs fail to recall questioning consumers to understand their wants and needs, be unsuccessful in catching golden chances, or cannot pass on their startup to the right people. However, how to become accomplished in entrepreneurship? In this book review, you will understand the different stages of starting your business and advancing it, creating a product, selecting target consumers, communicating correctly with the customers, and rectifying the product to advance your business. Understanding the customers. The key difference in this early stage of innovation is not to just ask customers what they want, but to deeply understand the customers, their motivations, their needs, and most important, the job they are trying to get done. Lesson number 1. Developing a learning attitude. At the core, entrepreneurs must develop an attitude of learning, brutally honest learning. By this we mean you would like to find out the way to seek and really receive feedback, because ultimately feedback opens the door to developing a product or solution that customers actually need instead of just what the entrepreneur imagines that customers need. Furthermore, down the road, because the founder, you'll set the culture of your organization, and creating a learning culture results in an excellent organization instead of a one-hit wonder. But how does one develop this attitude of honest learning? The primary step, which we've already described, is to acknowledge the training traps discussed above. The second step is to develop an attitude of learning that has 4 basic components. 1. Becoming an expert novice. 2. Reframing the training purpose. 3. Real-time feedback, and 4. Data-driven perspectives. An expert novice. That is, someone who has knowledge and confidence, but always maintains a seed of doubt that they'll be wrong. Tom Kelly, founding father of the revolutionary design firm IDEO, describes it as a healthy balance between confidence in what you recognize and distrusting what you recognize only enough that keeps you thirsty for more knowledge. Lesson number 2. Customers' needs come first. When it involves making your plan, then you'll refine it. It's obvious that the simplest things to beat someone at their own game is with a solid strategy. Business is not any different, but the method of crafting an honest plan isn't always so clear. The foundation of your success comes from the knowledge you gain about what your customers want. Webvan, for instance, was a web grocery service that shows how to not do that. Their failure to try to sufficient marketing research made them grossly overestimate what proportion people would want their service. As a result, they poured money into infrastructure, warehouse stock, and trucks. But upon launching, they found their terrible mistake. Their estimates of what percentage purchases customers would make was 60% too high. Webvan filed for bankruptcy in 2001 and lost $1 billion. Your secret weapon against an identical failure is careful observation of your customers' purchasing habits. Consider how you'll adjust your strategy to satisfy their needs. Once you've got that, still modify it into a reproducible business model. In your business's early stages, your plan will likely undergo many changes, and that's normal. But don't take too long to craft a more solid long-term model. Apple, for instance, began by selling kits so people could put together their own computer's reception. Today, however, its main source of revenue is the small improvements to its existing products. Lesson number 3. Successful businesses are not developed only with cash and excellent ideas. Could you develop a successful business if somebody would have given you $1 million? The majority of the people would be sure. It's obvious that cash isn't everything for an achieved product. Cash may even damage your business effort by creating peace of mind. An obligation may be a key to creativity. In conclusion, new businesses with little starting funding understand what's required for his or her product. However, if time and cash streams abound and there's no obligation to direct these assets cautiously, innovation frequently becomes unsuccessful or doesn't even happen. Let's check out an instance from 1996, the time the video game business 3D Realms developed the hugely accomplished Duke Nukem 3D. They ended the creation of the sport in approximately 18 months with a little fund. Afterward, they began to create the greatly expected continuation, Duke Nukem Forever, with the cash they need made with the primary one, many dollars. With regret, the quantity they earned provided them with tons of your time. They might not reach decisions, and last, the firm ruined 12 years within the creation phase of the sport before scrapping, which wasn't finished and sold. Cash isn't all that needed, as excellent ideas aren't too. These sorts of ostensibly excellent perspectives frequently motivate inconsiderate faith, and therefore the fixation to understand these ideas are dangerous, regardless of what. At the time they're assured that their ideas are very strong, tons of entrepreneurs get a ready, shoot, aim attitude. Meaning they create and release the merchandise as fast because it are often, and by putting tons of cash, since they're sure that they will suits the stress of consumers afterward. It is not difficult to know the explanations for this attitude to become unsuccessful. This causes products to accumulate zero demand, almost like the rental service for lawnmowers in Manhattan. Entrepreneurs that have this attitude would shortly afterward be in huge debt since they weren't successful in considering the stress of consumers. However, if cash and brilliant ideas won't assist you in starting a successful company, what will? We'll mention it within the following. Lesson number 4: Great businesses find issues and then find solutions for them. We encounter minor and infrequently major troubles, from defective tea bags to needlessly complex accounting software. These troubles may bring pain, but they're also opportunities. Each of the troubles may be a possible springboard to a successful business. Everything you would like to try to leap from troubling issues to profitable firms is grasping the way these troubles influence possible customers, finding a transparent solution afterward. Take Steve Jobs' reputation for Apple. He recognized the challenge to upload music files to MP3 devices, and to unravel this problem, developed the convenient iPod with iTunes program, which allowed people to sync music files to their iPod easily. Now, check out the US software firm Intuit, which recognized how troublesome it had been for little firms to travel through the 125 screens required to put in the firm's classical accounting software. The bulk of those entrepreneurs had no time for handling IT, and none of them was a software mastermind. With recognizing this trouble, Intuit developed Quicken, an accounting program that's adjusted for little firms, finished with an installation consisting of only 3 screens. This easy tuning caused a 20% boost within the firm's yearly earnings. Therefore, it's obvious that a product has got to affect the pain of possible customers, and this is often especially correct if you're serving people also as when operating in large cities. For example, Patrick Fitzgerald, the developer of RecycleBank, a firm from New York, recognized that some U.S. towns waste big amounts of cash to empty the trash. This expenditure was due to not recycling, which might provide the town even with some money. To fix this issue, Fitzgerald started a program in 2014 during which inhabitants got discounts on the web store of RecycleBank, one twine, consistent with the extent to which they need recycled. This allowed the recycling ratio during a Philadelphia district to extend from 7 to 90%, and currently, RecycleBank is all around the U.S. Now, we learned the elemental significance of problem solving in developing achieved firms. However, what to try to do if rivals have already started and worked hard at addressing an equivalent trouble? Lesson number 5: Innovation is not a breakthrough, and, by putting more on available goods, you can find solutions to problems. Apple didn't discover the PC, mobile, or MP3, however, the corporate does excellently well altogether of those markets. The reason? Since they made innovations by integrating available discoveries with fresh insights. It's just this procedure that permits achieved entrepreneurs to supply excellent advancements. To tell it in easier words, innovation is getting an available discovery and advancing it to get a competitive advantage. Consider solar panels. They were around and available for consumers to get for many years, and even solar-powered automobiles were manufactured since 1962. However, they need never been successful till engineers adjusted the panels for domestic utilization. Home solar obtained major fame in recent years, and therefore the industry of solar panels is currently a multi-billion-dollar one. Another example is Kawasaki, a firm that was a top producer of jet skis. The difficulty with their products was that their jet skis were seatless, therefore uneasy to ride. That's why, when rivals like Sea-Doo developed jet skis that have seats, consumers liked them more, and Kawasaki couldn't retain the status of a market leader, and eventually disappeared from the market. That way, innovation relates to obtaining insight, and you'll do that by examining the routines and choices of your aim consumer group until you fully grasp what they demand. Sam Walton, who established Walmart in 1962, provides us a superb sample. He didn't discover self-serve shopping, however, he saw this fashion because the upcoming thing for business. He, without dalliance, grasped the large cost decrease that would be obtained by putting workers only at checkouts, rather than all round the shop. By meticulously examining and talking with customers at rival shops, he grasped the way he could make the customer experience better, and he thrived. Every detail of the shop and customer experience was carefully observed within the procedure, from the response of individuals as they stepped into the shop to the space between the checkout and therefore the door at the front. Lesson number 6: Hire talented people and use a tested business model to scale effectively. If you are doing your marketing research and nip assumptions within the bud tolerably, your company will begin to grow. At some point, you'll even find your business beginning in ways you hadn't anticipated. Although you would possibly love your little company, you're getting to need some outside help to require charge, so you'll scale it. When it's hard to relinquish control, remember that business managers have tons more experience than you are doing. The popular classifieds website Craigslist gives us an excellent example of how this is often done. When it began growing, founder Craig Newmark realized he didn't have the know-how to manage it anymore. That's when he decided to market Jim Buckmaster, an employee of the corporate, to require overmanagement. Buckmaster remains within the position today and has helped Craigslist grow into a behemoth billion-dollar company. Giving up control is simply half the size equation, though. You furthermore may got to get a solid business model that's supported by paying users. Scaling without a solid customer base is reckless. The dot-com boom of the 1990s shows why this is often true. Many companies with unvalidated business models were trying to scale as fast as possible. Due to this, they couldn't get a hold on the market before their resources ran out and failed. The e-commerce site eBay, on the opposite hand, survived by that specialize in slow growth. Expansion consistent with the dimensions of its customer base was the key to eBay's success. Examine the market you create business in and modify your marketing decide to your target consumers. While giving an outsized sum of cash to a thing, people are likely to seem for information from various sources, from reliable friends to reviews of people on the web. Regardless of which technique is sweet for you, grasping the way you and your customers comprehend products is important in grasping consumer needs and needs. To operate an accomplished business, you ought to grasp all the small print of the market you're doing business in, specifically your customers. For example, from which place your customers have information about your product? What do they hear about it? Answers to those are extremely crucial in developing your marketing plan. Look at Supermac, a firm that manufactures assistant appliances designed to use with Mac computers. At the time it had been almost a shutdown in 1989, two capital companies funded the firm $8 million to revive it. Stephen Blank, the fresh VP of selling, decided to hunt out customers to realize a deeper understanding of their behavior. In this procedure, it had been uncovered that, con to the guesses of the corporate, the figure in tags wasn't the foremost significant determinant for patrons and not the technical details of the products. Rather, people were considering buying a product consistent with reviews in magazines. When you have recognized the determinants to your customers in selecting which product to shop for, like comments of friends or mentions from media, you'll adjust your communication tactics to suit these. In Supermac's situation, with the understanding that buyers were trusting the magazine reviews, the firm shifted its marketing plan and accomplished to save lots of itself from shutting down. In line with this marketing plan, the firm constructed its industry points of regard to evaluate the success of the hardware and introduced them as canonical for the whole industry. After a brief time, technology magazines embraced the Potrero points of reference, standards called after the name of the road on which Supermac's place of business was in. Because the developers of those benchmarks, Supermac was immediately excellently placed because the leader of the market. Lesson number 7, develop a plan according to your customers, afterward, utilize it to perfect your model of business. How does one win against a chess expert at her game? By constructing a clever plan. This is often specifically what you would like to win against rivals in your industry. To achieve success, your plan must be developed on rigid knowledge of the stress of your customers. For instance, the web grocery shop Webvan didn't research the market sufficiently before starting the business. Last, it frantically exaggerated the extent to which customers would desire to shop for food online. After huge amounts of cash poured in, like those required to develop infrastructure, stockpiling warehouses, and buying a truck fleet, the firm discovered that folks were only buying 40% of what had been anticipated. The firm was dragged to a shutdown in 2001, slipping $1 billion. To refrain from such conditions...
Did you like this audiobook summary? Click the like button now to support our channel and click subscribe if you want to get notified each time we post a new free audiobook summary on YouTube.